Hey there, it's Ben Hyde here at BCC Hardware, and today we're taking a look at the Linksys EA7500 Smart Wi-Fi Router. Now this router is part of Linksys Smart Wi-Fi series. You can actually either log in remotely through this. Actually, you can add it to your account. You can create an account, add it to your account to manage multiple routers, or you can actually log in with local access, which is what we'll do today. So this router, it comes out of the box configured. There's wizards to help you set it up to your settings. We went ahead and set this up already. It actually had enough horsepower to manage about 70 clients, wired and wireless clients, at a local LAN event that we did here back in March at volclan.com. This was the backbone, so we got to actually know this router very well over the course of that event. And right off the bat, we'll go through some of the settings as we walk through here. One of those, of course, is the network map, which is currently, you can actually have it show connected as well as currently connected devices as well as other devices as well. So we will, at one point, we had 80 devices connected to it, as you can see by going through the map. But today we'll just show the online devices in a map. I mean, it would be kind of cool if it actually showed the animations of transfer to the router. However, it doesn't, and it would take more CPU power as well. So that's the main network map. We'll keep on walking through here. Guest access, you can enable or disable. If you want someone to have guest access, they can, and then they will have to, when they connect, they'll have to go to a web page and log in on that page with the password set up. And guest access by default, of course you can specify the number of guests, but guest access by default limits people just to web access, not to full network access. So if you have people in your home or your place of business that you want to be able to maybe allow them to surf the web, but not have full access to all of your network, your public network, this would be the way to do it for guests. So that can be easily set up. You can change whatever you need to there. Now, parental controls is something that most routers have, and we at Volclan we actually did enable some parental controls here. So this is the list of computers that was connected at the time, and you have some options here. And the interesting thing is here that we actually we tried to block a few sites, so we can either block internet access, never, always, specific times, or if you want to block specific sites, you leave it set to block internet access never, and then enter the sites that you want to block. However, on this router, you can only block up to 14 different devices. 14 different devices can have custom rules. So which is fine for home use, but if you're trying to set up a larger network like a LAN event and you want to block people from streaming, you actually can't block router wide on this with the built-in applications. There are some add-on applications that you can maybe do that. Built-in, however, you can only block up to 14 devices. You can make a ton of rules for 14 devices, but only 14 devices in the parental controls. As far as media prioritization goes, this is where you can actually choose to prioritize by devices or by applications. So we can choose things like we want the general, he gets high priority. We're going to say our ASUS store, because we're backing up to FTP sites with it. We'll throw that in there, as well as why not throw the living room PC, because I'm going to be streaming with that, so that's going to get high priority. And we can rearrange who gets the highest priority here. We'll go for those for now. But also what you can do here, we can say, okay, let's throw Xbox Live. We want to be able to game with Xbox Live well, so we're going to throw Xbox Live up here on the high priority list as well. As you can see, we're only able to get 3 high priority devices. Other than that, they just replace each other. We can't add more to that. And of course, you can set here what your bandwidth is to try and limit things. And I guess this sort of works as far as really critical devices, but as far as again, it's limited to 3 actual either services or PCs, and that's what you got, or online games. If we're really serious about Guild Wars, the ports that Guild Wars uses, we can throw those up on there to make sure that Guild Wars packets always get through first. So that's media prioritization. Moving down here is just basically the speed test application that you can go online and find out. It does load through here as well, and then you can see how fast your connection is. Won't bother with that now, that's self-explanatory. But now here for your external storage, this device does have USB 3 port, so you can actually sit there and choose whether you're going to add external storage device. And that can be set up as just folder access, so now it shows up on the network. You could first shared files, and it actually, with the processor that's in this device, it actually loads fairly quickly. And of course, you then, if you have files connected to it, a flash stick or an external hard drive dock, you can choose to set up FTP servers, media servers, and what have you. Now this is where some confusion comes with this whole wizard interface. It works pretty well, but it takes a little bit to get used to for different things, like where am I going to find things. So we go to connectivity, and here's where, because we're talking about connectivity, we actually are connecting for firmware updates. We're connecting for time zones as far as the password for the router and the network passwords and the SSIDs all available in one place. That's kind of handy. Instead of clicking to all these different, tons of different tabs, it kind of simplifies things. But again, you got to know where you're looking. Internet settings, you can actually go with static, type of internet connection. You've got all those. That's really not new or interesting. You can set up, of course, IPv4 and IPv6 support as well. And now your local network, this is where you can choose your subnet and your IP address class and how many connected users and all that stuff right in here. Advanced routing includes the choice between NAT or dynamic routing, as well as you can create VLANs. You can actually have VLANs running off of specific ports. It looks like you can have up to basically 2 VLANs set up outside of your internet, which supports trunking as well. And then of course your internet, your administration, you can choose how you want to be able to connect to this, whether you enable or disable UPnP. All that fun stuff is right available all through connectivity. Think of it, if you're connecting to it, you want to talk about connectivity, whether it's VLANs, routing, network, it's all handled in connectivity. Troubleshooting, in my opinion, should be a tab that's located down farther, but troubleshooting still basically gives you your full status. You can ping devices on the network or outside the network as well, and even you can share some information if you're having issues you need to contact support. You can go through that as well over there in troubleshooting. Under the wireless heading here, you've got some choices, including more advanced choices than just on that previous page for the connectivity. Here you can specify your SSID, your password, whether the SSID is broadcasting the security mode, what type of network it actually is. Even though it's a 2.4, we can say it's even scaled back to B/G or whatever we want. Even we can actually limit it right down there to a full 11 megabit network. Through all those settings. Pick your channels, your channel width, the whole 9 all right there. MAC filtering is pretty self-explanatory. Not too many people use MAC filtering anymore, but it's not a bad way to go if you want certain people connected to your network and to limit other people. And of course, they can connect even, regardless through WPS. It can be a security risk. There's ways to exploit that. I'm not too worried about it here at the moment at BCC HQ South, so we will make sure that we just leave that on for now. And wireless schedule, this is kind of interesting. This is not just for home use, but can be for business use as well. If you're sitting there as, okay, well, it's a school night from 10 o'clock on, we want to, on Monday to Friday, we want to block Wi-Fi access, or it can be for a business. So after business hours, you want to turn Wi-Fi off automatically. You just pick the block all the way through what days of the week you want blocked off, and it's pretty simple. All you got to do is check that, hit apply, you're done. Your wireless network is scheduled to be on and off. Now in the last tab here, the last page, I guess, the last section is the security. Of course, this is pretty basic stuff. You can allow your VPN pass-through, turn on your firewall, have a DMZ. You can specify what is your demilitarized zone for specific things, and then your apps and gaming. You can either, you've got your dynamic DNS, your port forwarding, or your port range forwarding. All that stuff is available here. Very simple, very basic. It's a fancy router. It has really good performance. It's got a fast CPU, enough RAM to make it happen, and yet it's in an interface that's pretty. I still, in a lot of ways, prefer the really text-based interface of the old Linksys stuff, not their smart Wi-Fi. But with a smart Wi-Fi, you get, it's a little bit easier to manage. But at the same time, you got to kind of think outside the traditional tech box that we're all used to. All of us techs are used to, and we have to kind of sit there and figure, okay, where would this setting be? So Linksys has done a pretty good job. Like I said, this actually handled at one point. I mean, we did have up to, it says 80 connected devices on the network map. Probably at any given time there were 70 of those connected. So you know what? This router has the power to handle it all. But as I said before, the biggest downside is the parental controls that you can specify to a maximum of 14 devices, as well as the media prioritization. You can only have 3 high priority devices and or services and or games or applications. There's only 3 things that you can put on the high priority list. Everything else is normal. And again, for home use, that's not that big of a deal. For outside of home use, now we're talking office, it's a little bit limiting. So that's my take, rough take on the interface and the setup features of the Linksys E7500. Again, this is Ben Hyde from BCC Hardware. Thanks for watching.